Hello. Hi. Welcome to my channel. Hi everyone. All my subscribers. I've been missing you. Hope you're doing good. I just thought I'd come in here and just have a little chat in a different room tonight. I'm not going to show you any videos, but I do need to talk to you. I know that my subscribers are probably, all those who watch this channel are probably beside themselves with what's going on with Don and Candace. And, you know, I told you guys right away, I said, I bet you that right away Don Wells will be, and Candace will be back on YouTube, and they'll be drunk or stoned, and they'll be begging for money, and lo and behold, what do you know? That's what they're doing. They're channel hopping, and Don has been on like so many different channels. I think 3 or 4 times now. He's peed and pooped on live on people's channels, for real. And he showed his rear end in his twigs and berries right on YouTube with thousands of people watching. That was a real good one, Don. That's real good. Don Wells, if you're listening to this, you really need to think about what you're doing when you're in a drunken state. You know, you're like, I watched Nana's Angels today, and I really love her. She's a sweetheart. And she was talking today. She was letting Don Wells have it. She was telling him that he should have a little more respect. And how embarrassing, because it is very embarrassing. And I just can't believe that he would pull that kind of stuff. Well, everybody thinks it's ridiculous, you know. So, what'd you think about the birthday celebration for Summer? I know that I was completely disgusted by it. I'm sorry. I've been very depressed, sad that Summer still has not been found. All this time has gone by. We're not any farther in the case. And I'm sorry I could not celebrate Summer's birthday. I feel so bad, because then Don and Candace allow Robin and A.F. Pennington to go and do this video and put a dress on Summer's swing that looked just like a ghost. It looked like she was gone. Looks like it was the final ending for them or something. It was so creepy and so strange. And I just was disgusted by it. And I want to say this. And Don and Candace, if you're listening, I know that you wouldn't have did nothing for Summer that day. Because the way you acted, Don, you were going to the bathroom live on YouTube. And you're sitting there calling people the N-word and the B-word and fighting with people on YouTube. Like, I'm surprised. I was really impressed with Smiley's story world, Smiley, that Don called her. And she asked him questions, and I thought she handled it really well, because let me tell you, him and I would have been going around and around. We would have been fighting, because you don't talk to women like that. That's very disrespectful. You don't talk to anyone like that. That's probably, you know, how he talks to everyone, including his own children. And isn't that sad that that's what their kids had to listen to all the time? So I just thought the video was in poor taste. It's really sad that Robin and A.F. Pennington have to come to Don and Candace's rescue and pretend for them that they actually care. Because I know that they're so self-centered. Don has been so self-centered, and so is Candace. Why would you put something of Candace in the hospital? And, you know, for people to feel sorry for her. And I'm not trying to say anything bad about Candace, you know, if she has heart troubles. But listen, why would you make Summer's birthday about you? Why would you put that so that you can spread that around the news so people feel sorry for you? I don't get it. I really don't. It's very sad. Don and Candace, it's very pathetic. You know, I was listening to Cher, Voices Behind the Wall. And she was listening to Smiley's conversation. She, you know, Cher is very intelligent. And, you know, I've gotten aggravated with her because I felt like she defended Don and Candace. You know, because she did for a long time. And I felt like she enabled them a lot. But personally, I don't have anything against Cher. I mean, I think she looks really pretty with her new teeth. I think she is a pretty lady. I don't know all that she, you know, I don't get to watch her all the time, but I have been watching her because I am interested in what's going on with Summer Wells. And I am interested in what Don has to say about this stuff. And anyways, Cher brought out a lot of good points when she listened to his conversation with Smiley. So I recommend that you go over and listen to Cher and what she was discussing, you know, her thoughts on that, because she had some really good thoughts. And also, I really need to tell you that Benny Keyz has been doing a great job, and I want to give him an apology. I know some people don't like him, but, you know, I don't really have anything personal against Benny Keyz. I think if you bug him and you harass him, I think that, you know, he just does it in return. And I do not think that he's a bad person. You know, he's got a lot of very pretty women that follow his channel. He's got a lot of followers. But, you know, Benny's really sweet to him. He says the sweetest and the nicest things to these women. And, you know, he calls them BB and honey, sweetie, baby, all these loving names. And, you know, that's why Candace fell for Benny, you know. And he's right. He said she took his kindness for the wrong reasons. And she did. And that's on her. But anyways, I would recommend that you go over and watch Benny's last couple days of conversation with Don, which he had 3 weeks. About 3 weeks, he said, before Don started pulling all this other nonsense. You know, before he relapsed and started acting like a jerk. And he has been. But anyways, I got so much information from Benny's, and I took a lot of notes between Smiley's video, Cher discussing it, and Benny discussing it. I tell you what, I got, you know, a lot out of that, and I would recommend that you go to their channels and check it out. So anyways, I really believe, you guys, that Don is extremely angry. Number one, I'm not really sure about all his court stuff, you know, when he got out of jail. But when you have a DUI, you know, I don't know if he's on a restricted license or what. But it would seem that he would be. And, but also, we know that he shouldn't be drinking if he's trying to get his voice back. So he has no one to blame but himself for what's going on with the boys. He knows that he should not be doing all this stuff, but he wants to anyway. So to me, he is choosing his own way. But I truly believe, you guys, that things are ramping up. And some things, like their court date, well, Don's court date, I guess. I don't know if it's for the boys or if it's just for Don. But there's a court date. I think it is for the boys, but it's February 9th. And that's very soon, a few days. And, you know, he's probably going to go off the deep end because I believe that they're going to completely remove the children from them. And I wouldn't be surprised if Don and Candace get charged for some kind of child neglect or whatever. But, you know, it's pretty bad that Don was complaining that he, you know, how the foster care system gets money. You know, the kids have this and they have that. And, you know, like he was jealous that his boys were getting treated well and that they were getting help and money to take care of them. And that's pretty pathetic, you know, because it seems like all he does care about money. That's all he cares about. And, you know, he told Benny in this conversation that he was going to Arkansas or wherever he was going. And just a couple weeks ago. And he said that he'd take Molly up on that $2,000. And, you know, he had told Sharon when I was listening to Cher, too, last night, he had, I don't know if you remember this, but he had said in a text that, wouldn't it be great if he did a confession, LOL, his confession, pay-per-view. And, you know, that's all you need to tell me right there, is that he cares about money, and that's all he cares about, nothing else. And I'm sorry. So I wrote a bunch of notes about those things, but before I forget, I want to tell you guys about the blue truck. Remember the blue truck that was in Don and Candace's driveway, and it was kind of broken down. At first it was by the shed. Then it was, I just noticed that it kept moving. Like every time somebody would go there with a drone, or somebody did a video there, or the news, this blue truck would be moved. And I know of at least 3 times, maybe more, that blue truck's been moved. And it's really weird to me. And do you know that sometimes I have heard of murder cases, criminal cases, where they would put somebody underneath a vehicle and then pull the vehicle over top so you wouldn't know that they were under the ground. And the vehicle would be parked there. But it's just strange that he kept moving the vehicles all, and I just wanted to bring that up. And I just wondered if you'd leave any comments and tell me if you, you know, if you thought about that or remembered any of it. I heard some other stuff too that I thought was very important. And so I'm just going to say that if you see anything going on in the, you know, the next week, just know that there was some talk going on, and Don mentioned some things. So I'm not going to say anything further because I can't. So I'll just wait. But anyways, if I hear more about it, I will tell you about it. But anyways, so Benny's on his video, and he's listening to, he's having this conversation with Don, and he's playing it back, and Candace, and he's listening to it. Candace said, Benny asked Candace about the phone that Ernie gave her, and she said she ditched the phone, and she knows where the phone lays, that it's drowned. The phone is drowned, and the fish are loving that phone. But she can't tell us where the phone is. But it's somewhere in the mountains that nobody knows about, in the water, that nobody knows nothing about. So, you know, Benny brought up many good points about what she said here. So, you know, she said she couldn't access this phone, and she said she didn't have the PIN number. And, you know, they were worried about maybe Ernie tracking Candace or recording Candace, but she said she couldn't access the phone because she didn't have the PIN code. So Benny had some really great questions, like, why go all the way up to a mountain and throw this in the lake if there's nothing on it, if it's never been used, if, you know, you could have sold it, you know, for some whiskey. You could have, you know, thrown it away uptown, but why? So this is a mountain, she says, that nobody knows about. And, you know, it's really strange to me that you would go all the way up a mountain, supposedly, to throw this in the lake. But how many, does anybody know, like, what's the name of the mountains around there? The only one I known of is Bays Mountain. And Don talked about Bays Mountain, that the kidnapper could have took somewhere up there. So that was really strange. But, you know, if there's nothing, you know, with this phone, why hide it, right? So I just thought that was really weird. And I just thought I'd discuss some of this stuff with you in case you didn't hear it. So Benny asked Candace and Don about Marlena Crawford and how they felt about her. And Candace wants nothing to do with her now. Now listen, she was best friends with Marlena. She was hanging out with her. Marlena was staying there. Her little girl was there. And now Candace wants nothing to do with her. And now, after almost 2 years, Don's going to say that he thinks that Marlena's a suspect. Now, listen, according to Don, nobody took her from around here. She was taken far away. And that she was nowhere around here. Now, why wouldn't he accuse Marlena or Jody Sue or any of them in the beginning? They did not. They did not. But now, you want to know why they're accusing them? Because Jody Sue has said stuff about Don and Candace that they didn't want out. And you know why? It makes them mad, right? Because it's the truth. Some of the things Jody says has uncovered and exposed Don and Candace, and they don't want that out. So they're really mad at Jody Sue for saying that. Who else are they mad at? Candace mentioned Jenna, that Jenna's no longer her friend. And remember, Jenna's the one who came out and said that Candace told her that Don was home at 3:30. Told her many things. And so, and then when she was talking to Candace a lot on the phone, remember, and FaceTiming her. And when Don came home, he was yelling at Candace and said, "Your mom, the bitch, has gone and done it. She told everything." You remember the story? Candace's mother told her friend that Summer was sick and had to be taken to the hospital. Well, that's what I'm talking about. Well, so Candace doesn't like Jenna now because Jenna talked about that stuff. And she doesn't like Lips or Squall Tip. And I don't know what they exposed about her, but for some reason she hates them right now. Just these people, right? Right now. You know, Don and Candace have only blamed about 20 people, you know, suspects, and they've had so many different things. And Don's still trying to prove it to us, isn't he? He's still trying to prove it to us that somebody else took her, trying to say that it was a footprint, trying to say that the scent went down the dog trail. And you guys, from what I know from the police and from the people who had the dogs, because they gave interviews and I heard it, and they said that them dogs went to the end of the driveway. That was it. Not down a dog trail or down the road. And if that's the case, that means that her scent ended at the driveway, that one of them took them in their car and took her out of there. And how would Marlena, who hadn't seen Candace, well, actually she did see Candace, because remember, her daughter was there. And she told everyone early on, like within the first day or the first week, she said Marlena came on Facebook and said that her daughter was staying there, that the weekend of before Summer went missing, and they took her daughter, gave her a ride home. But anyways, that part they did, and that part's true. But Marlena said that Summer was packing a suitcase and said and Marlena's daughter said she was going on a trip. She was leaving. Now Don, he tried to excuse us and say, no, you know, we were moving to Utah. Bull crap. So he tried to excuse us away. So I think they, you know, do not like Marlena or Jenna or Jody Sue or Lips or Squalted or any of these people, because they said something that was true and now they don't like him anymore. So anyways, because Smiley asked him that question about the suitcase and what Marlena had said, and Don tried to make an excuse. And he tried to say that that was when he was going to Utah. And when he went to Utah, that was like, he came back like in October of last year or something. That's when Candace and him got in a fight. So it was nowhere near the time that Summer went missing, June 15th. So, 14th. Now I can't even remember. It's been so long. Jeez, listen to me. But, so what was interesting, though, when I was listening to Cher, she said that Don, she caught it. When Don was talking, he did not deny that Summer was packing a suitcase. And that was a really good catch. And that's the truth. He did not deny it, so he's not denying that. So now Don has about 20 suspects. You know, everybody is suspect. Chris McDonough, Josh at the lab, some sick predator. Now it could be Fred Hill, it could be, or Ziggy, or Marlena, or the list goes on, okay? But, you know, but he doesn't mention them until like 2 years later, almost 2 years later, right? So in the conversation, Don mentions at least 3 drug houses on that hill that he knows of, that he's friends of, because you would not, he knew a lot about them. So I'm just saying, he was saying that Fred's dad was a druggie, and the Bernards, Fred Hill, so he has said a lot. But I just think, like, if Fred Hill would have took Summer or something like that, I don't think he would be talking to Ziggy or anybody. I don't think he would have gave information to the TBI, because usually suspects don't behave like that. Usually people who commit serious crimes like this, if they killed someone or if they SA'd someone, they're not gonna even come out and talk about it whatsoever, let alone go on YouTube or talk to TBI, wear a wire, blah, blah, blah. So, anyways, give me a break, Don and Candace. Now you're gonna blame these people after almost 2 years. So, and you're talking about all these drug houses, but you only hang around with the good people, like Benny said. Remember, the good church people, that's all you hang out with. So, anyways, Yeah, Marlena came out and told us that stuff right away, that Summer was packing, so Don's lying. Anyways, so Don talked about the police on Benny's conversation. He talked about, and Josh's too. Well, but he had a different one with Josh, but he told Benny that the police called him from Utah. They had 3 statements, and Don tried to deny it the other night with Josh at the lab. And with Chris McDonough, he tried to deny it and say that he did not. There was not 3, there was only 2. And Chris tried to get him to talk about this other victim, and he would not. Or this other statement. But what I found interesting is that Don was upset, and he said they're throwing words around like rape. And so obviously in one of the statements they said that he raped him, or he tried to rape her. I don't know. But I thought that was quite interesting. So Don tries to explain himself that he was just helping Mary up, that he was just helping her, right? He pulled her up from all these friends of his that supposedly she fell down. And he was just trying to help her up and ripped her shirt. But that is, Mary said those guys, his friends, were chasing her around that house, trying to, the R word, and that he was ripping her shirt. And so, I don't think he has anything credible that he can say, because here he puts himself right at the scene, you guys. Once again, he puts himself right at the scene and at this incident because he says that he's guilty of pulling her shirt. So he was there. This happened. And so it's going to be up to the judge or whoever who's going to believe that. And I believe they would believe Mary after, Jeannie and whoever else. So anyways, he admitted to SA with Jeannie again. And he went on and on about, a 5-year-old was asking for it, and that he didn't think about asking for her driver's license. A 5-year-old. He didn't think about asking her what age she was. He knew dang well what age she was. It was his stepsister. Also, he knew better at 12 years old, and then he was throwing around the age 15. So how old was he? 15 or 12? But what I find interesting that Don never mentions anything about the SA abuse with Jeannie except for when she was 5. He remembers that. And it is weird that Don's daughter is 5 years old. So another thing that you guys I find interesting is that Don is telling Benny that he went to Arkansas and it was just a quick trip, He just went down there and did a couple houses and came back. And he told some people that he went to visit family there and work. So what is the truth here? Why would you just go there and just come right back? And so then he says he goes to Miami. And these drug dealers, isn't that interesting? Were acting like they ran the place. And it was $200 and some a night. He didn't want to pay that. So he drove 1,700 miles straight back. Drove straight there, straight back. Isn't that strange? You know what it reminds me of, and you know what I think of, is that he's drug trafficking. He's still delivering. He's still taking drugs across state line. I believe that. He's either doing that or people or something, because, and I have a feeling it is drugs. And, but yeah, I think that the TBI needs to check him a little better, because he could be running drugs still. And I know that they keep an eye on him, but I don't know how well or how close, you know what I mean? So yeah, I know that these two frustrate me, Don and Candace, more than anything else. They're driving me insane. They're so horrible in the way they behave. And I can't believe that crazy crying critters on the farm, Miss Daisy, that she would actually defend Don and say things like, well, what's wrong? You know, Josh is terrible. Leave Don alone. Leave his family alone. Quit bothering him. You know, Josh wasn't doing anything wrong. And Josh is telling the truth. And I really like Josh. He is the Lab. He has a nice channel. He's a good guy. He doesn't do anything to anybody. And I've never heard him really talk bad about anybody. But he knows Don's number. He's got him figured out. And so it just really bugs me, if you know what I mean. It's wrong that, you know, certain people want to defend Don and Candace. And you know what really makes Don mad? You know why Don is really mad at Josh? And he's mad at a lot of people and a lot of creators. Because he doesn't want bad things said about him and Candace. He doesn't want any kind of bad reflection of him and Candace's parents, see? Because he's trying to paint a different story. He's trying to put it out to all the media that they're the victims and they're sad. And poor Candace, she's got heart problems. And YouTubers are being mean to them. And, you know, CPS is being mean to them and took their kids, kidnapped their kids. Well, I can't wait until they have their court hearing. And he wanted to put that all over the national news. Let's see what the CPS has to say to them about their little stunt on TV and on the news. It's all for attention. They want people to feel sorry for them. They want someone to give them money. They need help. They're desperate. They're drug users. They're alcoholics. And that's what those kind of people do. Anybody that'll give them money and attention, that's what they need. And they can't really get it from, you know, they're going to need people and supporters. And they found out they can do that really easy on YouTube. And you know, something else Benny brought up, and it really bugs me, is that Megan Walsh, Megan, I'm trying to think. I think maybe it was me. I don't know who it was, but this little girl that went missing, and he went looking for her, he says, you know, and so did that child and another child. And then he mentions Elizabeth Smart. Like, so strange that he's around all these kinds of people, right? And he knows all kinds of stuff. And you know what's really strange? Oh, Megan Boswell, I'm sorry. My mind slipped for a minute. But, you know, the same thing really happened with, you know, their child. You know, she said the child was missing. And guess what? I think it was in Florida. Didn't they find that little girl? So, yeah. It's weird when that they were interested. I don't know, maybe not, but I think it's strange that they were involved in some of these cases, you know. Also, if you get a chance, if you haven't seen my community post on Common Sense True Crime, she did a great video and she discussed, she had on there the interview with Don, and he was saying how his boys, he don't know why his boys handled this so easy. And how did they, you know, it doesn't seem to be bothering him like it bothered him and Candace. And then he instantly brings up a story when he was young in school, how some kid brought a gun to school or something. Somebody shot his, I don't even know what the dang story was now. A kid's father was shot or something. But the thing of it is that he was saying how hard it was on that kid and on that boy. But, you know, why would you bring up a killing instantly while you're talking about your boys, you know, not being affected by Summer being gone? That's just really strange. And I do wonder, you know, I'm going to say this because I truly, anyways, I believe Common Sense True Crime, Holly, I believe she's right on the money. I think she's really smart and she's got it figured out. And I do believe that they believe that Summer is deceased. And they act like it, don't they? They did a memorial in Utah. Now they do this swing thing with the dress flowing on it like a ghost. You know, that Summer swing, that's nobody else's swing. And it makes me mad, like when Don had another child on there. I'm sorry. And they're doing this stuff. That was Summer swing. You want to wrap the tree with balloons and, you know, have a prayer meeting around the tree, but all this other stuff is so weird. But what I want to say to you guys again, I truly, truly believe that Summer did not come home that day. I believe that Candace, after that video of her in the back seat, that Candace went somewhere and met Don or something. Because, listen, nobody can figure out how Summer could have disappeared off that property like that. Listen, if somebody came up there, Marlena Crawford, anyone, and Candace was right outside the door, she's going to hear Summer. If somebody was being mean to Summer, she would have screamed. If she wasn't being mean, I just don't buy it. Why would, like, Marlena come out and talk about that? She felt bad, and she, you know, had things to say about that family. And that's why Candace and Don are mad. That's why a lot of people, you know, I'm sorry. You got to really look at the full picture. But I don't believe that Summer came home. I believe that Candace took her somewhere. When she said she was out looking, she could have just been yelling and looking when she already knew what she did with her. You know, people lie, people do these kind of things. Maybe she didn't. Maybe neither one of them did this, but it's really hard to buy any other story unless it's one of their close friends and they knew it, because there's no way she got out of there without somebody not knowing. When Candace was outside, she was outside. She didn't get kidnapped in the house. Candace was outside, and they would have had to take that child only a couple feet from her. And there's no way, and I know Don wants to keep trying to prove the dog trail. And why would anybody want to try to prove anything like that? You know, why don't you want to try using your time in better ways to find your daughter and not try to convince everybody how you think it happened or how you want us to believe it happened, because it's just a narrative, Don. And Candace, it's all just a narrative. But, you know, they're full of it. And they can drive you nuts. And Don sure has a potty mouth. And he should be ashamed of himself. And Candace, come on. Do you really like your husband showing his rear end and his genitals on live YouTube? Come on. That's disgusting, really. I mean, that is terrible. I've never seen nothing like it. I mean, I'm not a prude or anything, but come on, that's gross, Don. Have a little more decency, integrity within yourself. When you start to get that drunk, stay off of YouTube. You know, I'm going to remind you again that everything you say can be used against you in the court of law. You have a right to remain silent. And you keep screwing yourself up, man, by talking. So, you know, I don't care what people think of me or anything. I care about Summer Wells. I love her. She's still missing. Summer Moon Utah Wells is missing out of Rogersville, Tennessee, Hawkins County. She was 5 years old when she went missing, and she's still 5 because I don't believe she's no longer with us. But if you have any information regarding this little girl, please call 1-800-TBI-FINE. Please. You can leave an anonymous tip to them. Just tell them where she is. So anyway, I hope everybody's doing good and not getting stressed out. But boy, things are really heating up, eh? And I think it's going to get worse, you guys, once this court hearing is here going on. So, you know, keep your ears open. Keep tuned in. You know, there's a lot of, like I said, Sharon, Benny, and Smiley, and a lot of people, and the lab are all doing a great job, and they did a great job talking to Don and putting up with him. So, but Don needs to wake up and see that he shouldn't be doing this crap. His daughter's missing, and he should care about that. And they do have their own channel, you guys. If they really wanted to talk or make a plea, they could go on their own dang channel. They could complain, they could whine, they could be victims, they could beg for money, they could beg for their daughter. But they don't do any of that. You know why? Because they got to be on YouTube with another creator so they can get attention. They got to have all kinds of people listening, hearing them whine, so you'll send money. And that's all that it is. And feel sorry for them. So, sorry, Don and Candace. You know, maybe you guys should have got a Grammy for some of this crap. Because I don't believe you. And, you know, I'll apologize to you if I'm wrong. But I don't think I'm wrong. I don't believe all these people, you know, really truly believe that you guys had something to do with this or know what happened to her. And you just need to come out and tell it. Because this is never going to end, Don and Candace, until you do. So, anyways, to all my subscribers and those who are just watching, I just wanted to say hi. I miss everybody. I love you. I hope you're doing good. Just keep praying for Summer to be found. All right. Have a good night. I stayed on here too long. Bye.